explained on a show before why I had the position that I had regarding the Ukraine war and why I've been speaking out against NATO and Western aggression, because I'm a citizen that live in the U.S. Imperial Core. And it's our job to hold our government accountable. And anyone who's been studying history see the United States already joined this conflict when they had CIA infiltrate and train the neo-Nazi Azov Battalion and help the coup in 2014. So they are the one who got in this first. And it's our job to call that out. We should not be doing propaganda for our state that want nothing more than war in this conflict. So now, after the Russians pretty much destroy Ukraine, now you have Russia that is fighting NATO and the European powers. Don't think this Ukrainian offensive is a Ukrainian offensive. It's an offensive manned by the NATO army that is the NATO army manned by Ukrainians. That comes from Scott Ritter. So now Russia like, oh shit, the West escalated. You got Finland and Sweden that's seeking NATO membership and they had to back down from their initial threat of nuclear retaliation if Sweden and Finland join NATO. And they like, oh fuck, I didn't know the West was that crazy. They keep crossing our red lines. So they pulled back from that. And now they see the massive, the United States is about to send $12 billion more to Ukraine. They see this massive, only Western collaboration to destroy the Russian state and destroy Putin. So they're like, okay, motherfucker, this was just a military operation. Now y'all fucked up. Let's mobilize for real. And now the media melting down. Now they're like, oh my God, Russia is drafting people. Now things are going to get really devastating Ukraine. The risk of nuclear war is higher than it's ever been. Why do you guys think we've been warning you guys to stop NATO expansion? We've been warning you guys to advocate for peace because we wanted to stop this situation from getting to this point. The people who've been challenging NATO in the Western narrative, we are the one who have Ukrainian lives at heart because we want the conflict to end. The expansion of NATO and the political dominance of the fascist neo-Nazis in Ukraine is not important enough to destabilize the global economy and be responsible for the deaths of countless people. So the people who question NATO and the people who want to end the conflict, we are the anti-war people. The progressives, the Bernie Sanders, the AOCs, the John Fettermans, the Jamal Bowmans, the people who are sending weapons are the pro-war camp. Are we clear? You do not send weapons and you do not engage in war to advocate for peace. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. So I'm going to show you guys. Here's the receipt. This is the United States escalating this conflict. The United States reached a preliminary agreement to provide $12 billion in new assistance to Ukraine. This is my tweet. Nice, pretty good like total. We are watching a historic looting of the working class play out in real time. We are watching the destruction and looting of the working class play out that is 100% supported by the progressives, and people like Jamal Bowman are called out by it. Then they pull the people to the side and say, oh, we're going to do this anyway. We're going to do what we're going to do. We're going to help the neocon establishment destroy the global working class just so they can maintain their hegemonic dominance. What China and Russia is saying, the age of unipolarity is over. And the West rather destroy everything than let that happen. And Bernie Sanders and the squad and the progressives are complicit with that. And not the two campaigns he waged, not AOC defending Joe Crowley, not them advocating for the Green New Deal. Your legacy will forever be escalating World War III. Then forever be remembered now, especially when this thing is all said and done. Because at this point, and everyone who commented on this, the food shortages, the energy crisis, the effects of the Ukraine proxy war supported by the progressives is going to be felt for decades. So all this progressive advocacy you think you're doing, the progressive messaging you're doing, no one's going to remember that. The only thing people are going to remember is the fact that you guys sided with this. This is your legacy now, Bernie. Is enabling $80 billion to Ukraine. It's unbelievable. I want to show you guys a speech. from Putin. I said before, because Putin had this big ceremony, the West was melting down because he annexed regions of Ukraine that was asking Russian help. The media, I watched a lot of segments. The media never mentioned that these areas that Russia annexed have asked Putin to do it already, in Donbass, in these regions. They wanted, and they said no before. Now, after being shelled and after the death of countless Ukrainian people, Eastern Ukrainian ethnic Russians, Russia, okay, this is we gotta step in now. And a lot of people criticize Russia for not doing that before. And the mainstream media will never explain the Russian perspective. In fact, despite Putin being enemy number one, you will expect them to show him speaking more. You will expect the mainstream media will show the message of Vladimir Putin, but they do not. They do not. They just show him. They show pictures of Putin mean mugging the camera. They're like, "Oh, look at this unhinged maniac." You see him. They show speeches of Hitler all the time. You know when those speeches he's just yelling German, spitting fascist. He's been like probably fascist. Like, bro, this boy's spitting fire. Like if you're a fascist, you agree with Hitler. They watch his speeches, they're like, that motherfucker's spitting. They showed all his speeches. When they showed Putin speak, the person they claim is the new Hitler, and they never show it. So I'm gonna show you guys this. I'm gonna show you guys a clip of Putin speaking. Here's his clip. And I just asked, where's the lie? The West began its colonial policy back in the Middle Ages and then followed the slave trade, the genocide of Indian tribes in America, the plunder of India, of Africa, the wars of England and France against China. Ooh. Where's the lie? Meanwhile, Biden and Donald Trump can't make a coherent sentence. Hillary Clinton, Americans can't even listen to Hillary Clinton. Every time she spoke, her approval rating went down. So this is why they never shows Putin speaking. This right here. Because imagine they air this on CNN. You got boomers and you got a lot of liberals getting truth bombs. And I'm gonna read this speech out from Putin here. I'll put the audio low. And this is why they will never show him on mainstream media. They only got painting this insane narrative that's not true. When they say, "Oh, Putin, it was an unprovoked war," even though Chomsky himself said that them overusing unprovoked itself is a tell. Everyone who knows history. We know what you guys was complicit with. We know what the CIA did in 2014. We know the Western and NATO expansion past Eastern Germany. We know the escalations, the Minsk Accord that you guys broke. And no, Chomsky, like, you guys think you're gonna just erase this from history? So every time you guys say unprovoked, that's a tell. So this is Putin speaking. So once again, they never show in the West. Even if you're one of the people watching the stream and you're seething, Nick, oh my God, can't believe Nick is showing Putin's point of view. I saw one comment in my eye. They said, "You're Putin. You like Putin?" No, motherfucker. I'm showing you guys his response. Putin is an anti-communist. I don't really care about Putin. I just think as a citizen journalist, it's important to show their point of view, which our media never does. They never do it. And it shouldn't hurt you to hear the perspective, because Putin was the unhinged maniac that you guys think he is. Me just reading his statements would be, it will show that. It will demonstrate that, right? So let's play this video here. I'll read along because I know he's speaking Russian. I know some people may be just listening. He said the West is ready to cross every line for the sake of preserving the neo-colonial system, which allows it to live off and plunder the world. Thanks to the domination of the dollar and technological supremacy. They want to continue collecting the hegemon's rent, tribute payments from humanity. This is sanctions. This is the IMF bankrupting countries. Meanwhile, China is building them. Gee, that's so fire. That's fire. I'll read that part again. They want to continue to collect the hegemon's rent, tribute payments from humanity, which is their primary source of unearned prosperity. Imagine Joe Biden and Donald Trump trying to say this shit. The preservation of this rent is their main, real, and absolute self-serving motivation. It is therefore in their interest to de-sovereignize the world. And that is exactly what the United States has done. The UK and England colonized everyone. The CIA constantly interferes in elections. They even they straight up open about this, where you had people on Fox News complaining when Colombia got their first leftist leader. You had Tucker Carlson and a lot of people on Fox News like, why don't we do something about this? We used to do that all the time. That was the Monroe Doctrine, where anything in the Western Hemisphere, it's our backyard. We're gonna strip the sovereignty of the people. That's why they hate Venezuela, because Venezuela constantly rejecting Western interference. Let me continue. There's so many good points here. This explains their aggression towards independent states, traditional values, and authentic cultures. As well as their attempts to undermine international integration processes, new global currencies, and technological development centers they cannot control. It is critically important for them to force all countries to surrender their sovereignty to the United States. In certain countries, the ruling elites voluntarily agree to do this and become vassals. Others are bribed or intimidated. Now you're talking about the Bolsonaros, right? The Ivan Duques of Colombia. There's so many examples. And if this doesn't work, they destroy entire states. This is them punishing people. They punished the Nicaraguan people by putting sanctions because they supported the Sandinistas. They punished the Venezuelans for supporting Hugo Chavez and now Nicolas Maduro. The same way Ron DeSantis wanted to punish Colombia for electing Gustavo Petro. The same way Biden is starving Afghanistan for pushing the United States out and defeating them in their war. The United States punish countries that do not allow them to become their puppets. This is why, as people who live in the U.S. imperial core, our main focus should be calling these people out, not repeating neoliberals' attacks on their enemies like the progressives do now. So I'm going to read this part again. If this does not work, they destroy entire states, leaving behind humanitarian disasters, devastation, ruins, millions of wrecked and mangled human lives. I'll probably butcher that, but whatever. Terrorist enclaves, social disaster zones, colonies, they don't. They pretty much say they don't care about the effects, only extracting from their own benefits. Their greed and determination to preserve unfettered dominance are the real reasons behind the hybrid war that the collective West is now waging against Russia. Like I said, they're fighting the NATO army, the Western army, billions of weapons being sent to Ukraine. This is not Ukraine versus Russia. This is Russia versus NATO and the entire Western hegemony. Germany literally ran out of weapons. You guys know that? Germany sent so many weapons, they were like, oh, Zelensky, I'm sorry, we're out. And then Fox News did a segment, because this is how I know this. Fox News did a segment attacking Germany, and it was like, why is the United States the only one standing up to Ukraine? Our Western allies need to pick up the tab. And Germany was like, motherfucker, we ran out of weapons. So the United States and their Western allies is fighting Russia. And now the Western media is shocked that Russia is now drafting people and then mobilizing. What do you guys think was going to happen? Sending weapons and engaging for war does not equals peace. Yeah, I'll let it play. They don't wish for us freedom. They want us to be a colony. Yep. They don't want equal cooperation. They want to plunder our wealth. And that's why they love Gorbachev. And all the Western media was praising him because he destroyed the quality of life because he was a Western puppet. They view our way of thinking, our philosophy, as a direct threat. That's why they try to assassinate our philosophers. They're talking about Dugin here. Our culture and art present a danger to them, so they're trying to ban it. And this is how the Russians feel it. They like, all right, the West fucking hate us. Let's go to war. Fuck it. That's why Putin has such a high approval rating in Russia, despite what you hear from the corporate media in this country. Our development and prosperity is also menacing to them because of growing competition. And that is true. Not only because of Russia, literally, the United States said China is a national security threat. Why? Guys, why is China a national security threat? Do you feel any threat from China? Motherfucker, I feel way more threat from the fascist police capitalist thugs that occupy my neighborhood than I do of China. But they view them as a threat, and NATO said their new agenda is pushed back on China because China prosperity is a threat. Putin is just repeating the stuff that they say, guys. On RBN, we repeat the stuff that they say.